Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal, and it helps support the show. What's up, Planeswalker 6 back with some more Throne of Eldraine spoilers. Got a decent number of you here, just coming off of a terrible recording session. You'll know what that is about in 12 hours. Or fewer if you aren't watching this at midnight when I post this. Midnight my time. Anyway, we're just going to hop into the freaking cards. Into the Story is a 7-mana instant. Alright? Draw 4 cards. That seems a bit expensive. This spell costs 3 less to cast if an opponent has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. Now, notably, right, a lot of people kind of poo-pooed Tarmogoyf, and I think Jace Vryn's Prodigy as well. I want to say Jace as well. Because they were like, oh, this is never going to be good. Cards aren't in the graveyard that easily. Like, you have to build into it so much. And a lot of people essentially whatever. They were incorrect about how quickly things just go into the graveyard in a given game of Magic. Now, that said, 7 is still a decent amount. I've seen some people like argue for putting this in like a mill deck. No, I mean you could. I don't even know if we don't have Psychic Corrosion. Whatever, we don't have one of those mill gems. I don't think anymore. So I don't really see it being there. Instead, I see this being in a like very, very traditional style control deck. Something where you're looking to, frankly, piss off new players. That's not your actual goal, but people that will occur. And I think it's decent for that. Being able to draw 4 cards, like just holding that up, is pretty damn good. The problem is I've talked to people about like all of these cards, so I'm never sure if I put them in a video. I did double check the last video, and I'm pretty sure this wasn't in at the end, because I do these sequentially when they come out. But even for 7 mana, that's not too big of an ask if you are playing in another long game where your opponent just happens to not be getting that many cards into the graveyard. You know, maybe it's a lot of just putting lands on board. You know, it's just not as much stuff going directly into the yard, or for whatever reason they're exiling their own things or something like that. You know, whatever it may be. Into the Story, I don't think is actually that awful to cast overall. But you definitely want a lot of instants in this deck. So this feels like a lot more of a counter spell, like draw go control style deck. And I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it in Bolas, obviously. But Bolas I don't actually think is the correct place for this. I think this is going to be in more of a blue-white control style build. Don't know the win con for it, but I think this has potential, because drawing 4 cards for 4 is not bad. Sorcerer's Spyglass is being reprinted. I think that is just indicative of how much Wizards recognizes that War of the Spark has a lot of Planeswalkers in it. A lot of them are really annoying. Reeve's Soul, this is the complement, that's the word, to the other card, the end card of last week. I probably should have started with this one because it would have been like more symbolic anyway. So last one's was 1 in a black to destroy a target creature with power 3 or greater. Or it might have been 4 or greater. I don't remember. It was one of those. And actually, I can just do one of these things where I just do this and it takes nothing away. Oh, everyone's seen spoilers. You guys already seen these cards. Downfall. Exile target creature. Oh, it exiles. So this one exiles a creature with a converted may cost 3 or greater. This one destroys a target creature with power 3 or less. So they are actually more different than I thought at first. But is this card worth playing? Probably. I do frankly think it's slightly nicer than Legion's End. The issue, the biggest problem with this card is the fact that it is only a sorcery and it has the restriction, right? If you look at something like Noxious Grasp, that has restrictions, except that it is an instant, right? So this I think is probably not going to see play. No, I think they're probably just better options. Could be wrong, but pretty sure it's not. Elite Headhunter. This is a quad Rakdos 2/3 Menace Knight. Pay 3 Rakdos, trip Rakdos. Sacrifice another creature or an artifact. Headhunter deals 2 damage to target creature player. So this is a sack outlet, except it costs trip Rakdos to do. So it is very unlikely. Notably, this can sack food, because food is artifact. This can sack... Small genitalia. This can sack food, but in general, I think this is pretty weak. These are all definitely weaker than the... Are they? They feel weaker than the second color, like the Cavalier, Conclave Cavalier, like that cycle. These feel even weaker than those, which makes sense. Yes, that makes sense because these are easier to cast. You'd have to keep that in mind. Quad Rakdos is a little easier to cast than white, white, green, green, or black, black, red, red for what it's worth. But yeah, I don't expect this to see any play. Fell the Pheasant. Every time I read this card, I couldn't stop reading Fell the Peasant. And I was like, this is fucked. This is some aristocratic nonsense. This is a good old 2-mana instant. Fell the Pheasant deals 5 damage to target creature with flying. Create a food token. It's good limited. You know, not Plummet. There was one card that I can't recall the name of that I think is just this same thing. That just deals 7 damage to a creature with flying. Instant speed, just like nothing else. So minus 2 damage probably is still reasonable. And you make a food. Nowhere but limited sideboards. Ardenvale Tactician, white. 1 dub white for a 2-thief flyer with Dizzying Swoop. Instant adventure, tap up to 2 target creatures. This is not awful, actually. So I'm speaking purely in limited for this one because, you know, it's outclassed in standard by other 3-drops for night decks. But in limited, you can end of their turn, tap down their 2 flyers, get in with the flyers you already have, and still cast this as a nice backup flyer to block against those 2 flyers that you've taken down. So since I do think that there's a decent amount of flyers in this deck, or in this limited format, I think this is a really nice complementary card to a heavy flyer limited pool, like a heavy when you're really trying to get with the flyers deck. So I think this is a decent card in limited. Merchant of the Veil. This doesn't look like a merchant. 3 mana for a 2/3. 3 mana, discard a card, draw a card. This is... It's not called looting. It's called fucking something else, and I can't remember. Rummaging. There we go. This is rummaging. Very expensive. Rummaging. However, rummaging in limited is fine. I wonder how many signs I can say rummage. Haggle. It's a red instant rummage. It's fine in limited. Being able to... So, for example, like you top deck another land, you're flooding out a little bit, you get a red, you get rid of that land, you draw something else. Now, technically, you've paid 2 cards for 1. However, you can still use the rest of your mana to play Merchant of the Veil, which is a 2/3, which isn't terrible, and then you can continually haggle, or continually rummage for the rest of the game, so it's fine. Edgewall Innkeeper, 1 mana, 1/1. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, draw a card. How does this not have food? How is this not associated with food? It's an innkeeper. How does this not deal with food? That said, this card is maybe good. I have no idea how many adventures are in the set. If there are a lot of adventures in the set, this is a fantastic card in limited, because in limited, you want to fucking draw a bunch of cards. Also, I love the reminder text. It doesn't need to have gone on the adventure first. Fucking hilarious. Wandermane. White. Or, shit. 1 and a green-white. For a 3/3 horse, look at my horse, it's amazing. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has adventure, put a 1/1 counter on Wandermane. It's a steed. It doesn't have a knight, though. It's just the horse. That said, this could maybe see play in a green-white adventure deck in standard if there are sufficient good adventure cards. Because, I mean, you know, the rate that it's on is not the best, but 4/4 for 3 mana, that is fine. So only having to jump through a single hoop to get that is reasonable, and being able to get that to be a 5/5 for 3, up to a 6/6, you know, from just casting other creatures that hopefully are also good, I think that could be fine, depending on, you know, what you have. 4 mana for a 2/3 elf that looks more like Golem than I would like to think. Like, that doesn't look like an elf to me, probably because of this giant jacked arm, but whatever. This spell costs 2 less to cast if your opponent controls a green permanent. So we've seen cards like this before. Like the defeat cycle from Amonkhet. Jace's defeat does, I think it like counters a spell or something, and like does an extra thing if it's a blue spell, or if it was that specifically a Jace. That might have been specifically a Jace. There are cards like this, shut up, that are better when your opponent has the same color that you have. Death Touch, that's not great. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. That's fine. So essentially this is like either you block and lose a reasonable creature, or you don't block and I draw a card. In limited, I think this is probably going to be fine. 4 mana for a 2/3 Death Toucher alone is okay. 4 mana for a 2/4 Pillar Field Ox essentially is one of the decent-ish baselines for is this card okay in limited? And I think that this is one of the nice okayest cards in limited. Red Cat Melee. This I'm uncomfortable at how realistic this person's face is compared to the rest of the art. It does look like someone put this head in via Photoshop. Just because, the contrast of the skin tones, the flesh tones, with just the really interesting reds and gray blues here. Also, the goblins of this fucking land are horrifyingly ugly. Red Cat Melee deals 4 damage to a target creature or planeswalker. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage this way, you sacrifice a land. So this is, instead of the other one, which benefits you from your opponent having a green permanent, this one punishes you if you're not using it on a red permanent. Now, there still are a decent number of multicolored cards being played. However, I don't know if sacking a land is worth paying 1 for this. It's instant as well, so that's nice. But for 1 more mana, forcing it to have to be a sorcery, well, I guess it doesn't hit. Well, no, wait. No, why would you, ever play this over Fry? Fry deals 5 damage, can't be countered to a creature or planeswalker, and it has no downside. I understand that this costs 1 less, right? You can pay the red and sack the mountain that you just used, right? I understand that. But, why maybe in maybe in just mono red this is fine, but I feel like Fry is just a better choice. It can't be countered and deals 1 extra damage. No, it's the okay. Fry, admittedly, Fry does only hit white and blue things, but if you're playing mono red, you don't care about any other creature size. You just go face. I don't know. I don't play mono red. I could just be super wrong about this. Continuing on. Single black, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player exiles that card. If a non-black card is exiled this way, exile a card from your hand. Notably, note a few things here. 1, you get to force an exile on any card. That's any non-land card. That's pretty damn good. Right, that is, you just get to choose. This is not duress, where you're forced to choose a non-creature, non-land, right? You can hate creatures, you can hate non-creatures, it's fantastic. Now, if you have no cards in hand, you don't have to exile shit. If you have a bunch of cards in hand, and, you're flooding out, you have too much land, you don't need it, you have a really high-end card, you just can't cast, exile that shit. Hilariously, and I don't think I've seen anyone bring this up yet, Moon something. There's no way it was a Sphinx. Was that shit a Sphinx? I don't know. There is a card from, I want to say, Innistrad. It's 2 blue. You can cast it from exile. So hilariously, in Modern, you can exile that from your hand, and you still have access to it. But no, I think this card is possibly real damn good. Once again, because there's a number of multicolored cards, this isn't going to always hurt. And if you're getting rid of something that can end your whole career, losing a card to it is not that bad. Thunder Snapper is a quad Simic for a 4/4. Whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost 5 or greater, draw a card. When I first read this, I thought that was a creature spell, but no, it's just whenever you cast a big spell. In a ramp deck, this might actually just be fine. Because, notably, X spells, when they're on the stack, they call it, X is the actual amount, so you'd be drawing a card from that. Notably, this is a Hydra. We're only losing Hungering Hydra, I think. So this actually might be fine in Hydras. It's an okay card early on. Good old 4/4, I suppose, for 4. And then you just keep getting to draw cards. I mean, if you have access to Cure as well, Cure plus this means you cast a Hungering Hydra for, let's say, 6? No. 5? 6? 6. Let's say 6. I don't feel like doing math. Let's say 6, right? You're getting removal from the Hungering Hydra and drawing 2 cards. That's pretty damn good. Is this going to see play in anywhere that isn't a Hydra deck? Probably not. Deafening Silence. 1 mana, each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. So, notably, this is not like Rule of Law because this allows a bunch of creatures to be cast. However, if you're playing a creature, like a primarily creature deck, that's just vomiting out creatures a lot, this is fine. Not in Standard. I don't see this seeing any play in Standard. This might see some play in Eternal formats, because it is essentially a rule of law that's cheaper. But I don't know if that's actually a better thing, because things like Chalice of the Void exist, and Chalice of the Void is very often put on 1, so... No idea. Glass Casket, this is Ribbon Wrap? Silk Wrap. This is essentially just the artifact version of Silk Wrap, which just does the exact same thing, except this is an artifact, which means you get triggers off of, well, I was going to say Psi. I guess in Historic you get triggers off of Psi. You could turn this into a creature with Karn. You could Bedevil this. I actually think Bedevil is going to be important. So, like, the other day I was talking about changing out Bedevil for other removal spells from Throne of Eldraine, but I honestly think that with the amount of colored artifacts, and some of them seeming very strong, I actually think Bedevil and Anger's Rampage are going to get a boost from this set, so that's cool. Knight of the Keep is a 3-mana 3/2. It is a limited card. Lost Legion, it is a 1 black 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. That ain't bad for limited. Or Budget Knight. Maybe I'll make a Budget Knights deck as well. I might do that, yeah. But, you know, in limited, this is totally fine. But, as I said with the flyer, there are just so many better things to be doing in a Knights deck at 3, so. Ogre Errant, this is a weird ogre, and I unfortunately, I can't really tell what his face looks like, which I don't love, but whatever. So 4-mana 3/4, whenever it attacks another target attacking knight, so not itself, gets a menace. Hilarious, this card essentially kept giving knights a problem, and then eventually they were just like, buddy, you're a knight. Here, you're knighted now. Leave us alone, please. And so we did. Raging Redcap. How is this a knight? I actually had a lot of these issues with the depictions of knights in Scars of Mirrodin block, because a lot of the knights there didn't have mounts, and I feel like that's like the point of knights. Like, for example, Sky Knight Legionnaire, that should be a knight in my opinion, not a soldier. This should be a soldier, not a knight. Or actually, it should be like a berserker or barbarian. I have no idea if there's berserkers. I know there's barbarians, but it should be like one of those. How the fuck is this a knight? The dude literally just has stolen a knight's helmet. And that's it. He also has a lot of blood on it. I don't like the goblins from this place. They're horrifying. But yeah, it's a 3-mana 1/2 double striker. It's not good. Trapped in the Tower is Rapunzel looking great. Was that creepy? That might have been creepy. Yeah. 2-mana enchantment or an enchant creature that doesn't have flying, because obviously if Rapunzel could fly, she would be in the fucking tower. Enchanted creature can attack or block, and its activated abilities can be activated. Cool. It's bonus pacifism for a non-flyer. Oathsworn Knight. I believe this is meant to be a Black Knight reference to Monty Python because of the following reasons. It's 3 mana for a 0/0 that enters with 4/1 counters on it. Let's see. Arm, leg. 4/1 counter, sure. It attacks each combat of Fable. It's very aggressive. Very aggressive at trying to intercept any of its foes. If damage would be dealt to it, while it has a 1/1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove a 1/1 counter. So it doesn't die when taking lethal damage, just loses a limb. And technically, if you have, let's say, an Icon of Anastasia, naming knights, and you have a 1/1 knight with no counters on it, then you just have a knight with no limbs and just some flesh wounds. That said, because of the way this is worded, which I believe is different from ways some of the other things have been worded, it will die if it doesn't have a 1 counter on it from taking lethal damage. I want to say, I think it's Unbreathing Horde? Unbreathe Horde. Yes, if it would be dealt damage, prevent that damage and remove a 1/1 counter on it, or 1/1 counter from it. So if you have a Lord and Unbreathing Horde out, Unbreathing Horde won't die from damage, any damage, even if it isn't combat damage. So this is worded differently. My assumption is to prevent that exact thing. Fierce Witchstalker, a horrifyingly ugly wolf, 4 mana for a 4/4 trampler. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. It's not terrible in a budget food deck. Not going to make it in the wolf deck because there are better cards to play. Wolf's Quarry, 6 mana Sorcerer, create 3 1/1 green border creature tokens with when this creature dies, create a food token. Fucking hilarious. Also, notice some eyes back there. I wonder if that's to some sort of a big old-fashioned wolf. Fucking love it. It's hilarious. Not good, but still. Fae Burrow Elder. Burrow? Really not Barrow? Alright. 1 green white. Treefolk Druid. Vigilante. It gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. So notably, while it is on the field, it is going to be a 2/2. So at the very minimum, this is a 3 mana 2/2 vigilance creature. For each color among permanents you control, add 1 mana of that color. So if you're playing a 3-color deck, which I think is reasonable, this is going to be a 3 mana 3/3, as long as of course you have that permanent, that taps, that has vigilance, so you can attack with it, and taps to add 3 mana, 1 for each. If you're playing something stupid like Sphinx of the Guild Pact, which I think is what it's called, that artifact that has all 5 colors, that costs 7 mana, so you shouldn't be playing that. But if you do play that, oh my god, I just realized where this is great. This is so good in a Niv Mizzet deck. I mean, it's so good, like Niv Mizzet's a meme, but bro, I'm just now realizing that this is fucking hilarious in a more permanent-based Niv Mizzet deck. I know sometimes the Niv Mizzet decks are a little more spell-heavy and less creature-heavy, but I love this in that deck. Alright, memes are on the horizon, man. This is a bed and breakfast. It's a plains. It's a common land, and I fucking love lands that have the basic land types and do other things. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 other planes, essentially adamant on the land. When it enters the battlefield untapped, put a 1 counter on a creature you control. I just love effects like these. I like little mini simple things. This can be fetched with anything that can fetch a plains. I really like it. Onyx Trainer wants to battle. Is that actually how to spell the Pokemon Onyx? I like the color Onyx, and that's spelled with a Y, I think. Huh. Alright, there's X for a snake. Weird, coily snake. Reach trample protection from multicolored. Interesting. Ends battlefield. Yeah, sure. So this is the first time I'm seeing this card. I've seen a lot of the other ones already. X mana, reach, trample, and pro multicolored. Huh. This card doesn't seem that bad. It is an artifact and a creature, so it dies, like, easy. But pro multicolored, like, might actually matter in this meta. Although they are pushing monocolored. I don't know. I like it. But doesn't do anything else, you know. Folio of Fancy is a book that flies. Well, whatever. Players have no maximum hand size. Cool. XX. Each player draws X cards. Sure. 2 in a blue. Each opponent puts a number of cards equal to the number of cards in their hand from the top of their library into the graveyard. New mill card. I don't know if this is good, but it's a new mill card. One thing I don't like about it is that it taps on both of these. So it's going to be difficult for you to, like, oh, I'm going to pay X. Draw 2. Everyone draws 2. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pay 3. 7 mana total. Now you put 4 cards into your graveyard. You have to use something like the fucking key, Manifold Key, in order to do cool things, but whatever. Dance of the Manse. Be our guest. Be our guest. Something. I don't fucking know the songs. X, white, blue. Return up to X target artifact and or non-aura enchantment cards with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If X is 6 or more, those permanents are 4/4s in addition to other types. This actually is a liability in my opinion. Like, it's a sorcery, so your opponent gets to, like, blow shit up before you get a chance to use them. Because if they're creatures, right, then your artifacts aren't going to actually be able to activate because they'll have summoning sickness and be creatures. So, before what it's worth, like, paying 7 for this, right, 5 white blue, you get 5 artifact / enchantments. Yeah, you can potentially get 5 CMC creatures, or artifacts or enchantments, back directly on the battlefield. This seems good in some sort of Esper artifact deck. I'm actually going to try this in Historic, at least. I don't know if it's going to be any good in, like, the the white-blue Thorn of Eld Drain style artifact enchantment decks, but I'm going to try this in... Yeah, I'm going to try this in Historic with artifacts and enchantments. But yeah, I feel like this is actually just a liability. Like, it gives you one more... It gives you one more permanent, and it gives you bigger permanents across the board, and Statue of the God Pharaoh is a 6. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that it turns them into creatures. Vantress Gargoyle is fucking horrifying. 2 mana for a 5/4, flying, can't attack unless defending player has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. I don't think that is going to be too difficult to do at all. Vantress Gargoyle can't block unless you have 4 or more cards in hand. Once again, in your control deck, not hard to do. Tap, each player puts the top card of their library into their graveyard. I feel like this is going to be a strong card. I mean, it could be super wrong on this, but like, it isn't very hard for people to have 7 cards in their graveyard at all. It fuels itself, which is fine. You can usually block with this card. Oh, I'm just realizing this is just a 2 mana 5/4 that blocks. Like, if you're playing a control, like a relatively controlled deck, even a mid-range deck, right? This just fucking blocks. Because if you're playing this on turn 2, or turn 3, or turn 4, it's not unlikely that you're gonna have 4 cards in hand. I don't see a world. I can't fathom a world where this does not see play. I just can't. Bonecrusher Giant is a 3 mana 4/3. It comes with target spell. It deals 2 damage to that spell's control. Notably, this includes you. If you target this card, you're going to get hurt. Stomp. Damage can be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. This is very similar to Skullcrack, except it costs, or it's worth 1 less damage. It's a rare. Staple onto a creature, so sure. But it's also a 4/3. This very well may just see play. Who am I kidding? This is going to see play in the burn decks because of the fact that you can force it so that damage can be prevented. You know, anything that has protection, anything that is going to... what's the damn card? There's a card I'm trying to think of, and I can't for the life of me. But yeah, anything is just like, oh, you're trying to prevent the damage? Nope. Take the damage. Eat it. You're stuck. Also, it's just a 4/3 that has benefit. Like, if you try and kill this Bonecrusher Giant with a Mortify, for example, you're taking 2. Minimum, you're taking 2. You've probably also taken 2 from this. So, for 1 card, you've taken 4, right? It has costed them 5, but it also has discarded 2 a card, right? Like, it's probably decent. Magic Mirror, 6, trick blue. Spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant sorcery card in your graveyard. Okay. You have no maximum hand size? Okay. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a knowledge counter on the Magic Mirror, then draw a card for each knowledge counter on Magic Mirror. Wizards just know that 4 mana Jace is still in standard, right? Right? Because this screams self-mill to me. Like, hard. Like, oh! I'm bringing back the Creep and Chill, ladies and gentlemen. I know it doesn't work with this, but if I'm going to be milling myself so hard anyway... Yes, this is perfect. This is perfect. You just have a bunch of fucking removal and self-mill cards. You have removal that self-mills. I don't know if there are any of those. Yes. Because what? This can be so cheap so easily. I have to double check the self-mill cards that come out early in like the 1s through 3s. Because if you can get this down turn 5, this can start getting out of hand. Literally. I'm sorry, that was terrible. Do I think it would see play in control decks? No. No. Maybe in sideboard, like as a one-of, for the control mirror? Oh, no. I just said that, didn't I? Revenge of Ravens. 4 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a creature attacks you or a Plunderer controlled out creature's control, loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Potentially fine against the Cavalcade decks. However, the issue with that is that this is a 4 mana card. This is 4 mana. I do not think it's going to be see play because it is 4 mana. If this was 3 mana, maybe, but it is 4 mana. Iron Crag Feet. 1 trip red, add 7 red to your mana pool. You can cast only one more spell this turn. I don't think I have anything to say this. I have no idea where this goes. It jumps you 3 mana. But, like, realistically, what are you doing? I've seen some people say, like, it's hilarious in, like, a modern context or something, where you can have turn 1 card. So what was it? It was, I think it was Mountain Simian Spirit Guide. Use that mana to produce 3 mana. Use 2 of that mana to produce 3 mana. Use that 4 to Ironcrag Feat, and then you play Karn. Except that is land, ritual, 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 Karn. So that's 5 of your 7 cards. So that's like the magic list of Magic Christmas Land. I mean, if it ever happens, like, that's fucking hilarious, but... Mirror Maid. 1 double blue, you may have Mirror Maid and the battlefield is a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. This card is going to see play in EDH. Easy. This is any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield? Hell yeah, dude. Hell to the yeah. Like, this card is so interesting. I'm gonna try to make this fucking see play in standard. Because it comes a copy of that... because it comes a copy of it, if it's an artifact, it becomes an artifact. So you can even just play this in artifact decks. I like it. Loch Dragon. Quad is it. Flying, 3/2. When there's the battlefield or attacks, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So this is a good old Rummage Dragon. This is probably one of the stronger ones from this cycle that I've seen. It has very interesting horns. It's a very interesting looking dragon. Don't think it'll see play anywhere though, because Crackling Drake is just better in almost every way. Fuck. Grumgully the Generous. Would you like some of my mushrooms? I'm Grumgully the Generous. Yeah, dude, you already said your name was Grumgully. Did I ever say that I was generous? Mushrooms? Fucking, this dude looks horrifying. Look at this dude's fucking face. He's fucking high out of his mind right now. I'm not high. My name is Grumgully. Horrifying. 3 mana for a 3/3. Each other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1 counter on it. I guess it's just literally the wilds versus the humans. I assumed that... So I know vaguely that, like, Eldraine is, like, split, like, super split between the wilds and the civilized world. But I assumed that some of the civilized world were non-humans as well. But, like, civilized, because obviously they have a civilization, right? They have some sort of community. But... like, it's just weird that it's literally like, if you're not a human, I'll give you this benefit. Even if you look exactly like a human, but you're not a human. By that I mean, knife ears. I actually really like elves. It's just fun calling them knife ears, because it's a slur that people can use, because elves aren't real. And I swear if you type in the comment that you are an elf, you're wrong. That said, Grumgully is creepy as fuck, and I doubt we'll see play, although I think it would be hilarious to make a Grumgully brawl deck. Ferocity of the Wilds, 3 mana enchantment. Attacking non-human creatures you control have +0 and have +1/+0 and have trample. I don't think this is good enough. It gives trample, which is decent, but other than limited, maybe. I don't think this card's good. These red caps are fucking horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. It's the Mistford River Turtle. 4 mana for a 1/5. Whenever Mistford River Turtle attacks, another target attacking non-human creature can't be blocked this turn. I don't get it, but okay. Redcap Raiders. Fucking just horrifying. Oh, it isn't blood. That's just their hands. Or, I hope? Yeah, they're called red caps. Or is it because they have red... No, because they have red hair too. They don't have caps. That's hair. I guess they just have red highlight. These things are fucking hideous. So 3/2 for 3 Goblin Warrior. When it attacks, you may hit tap an untapped non-human creature you control. If you do, it gets +1/+1 and trample until end of turn. Yeah, I don't care. Limited card. Barge in. Hilarious. I'm trying to make sense of what's in the foreground of this image. Like, that looks like a crown. And this is obviously a cape. So I assume this is the top of someone's head. So I guess their hand is like here. Got nothing. Target attacking creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Each attacking non-human creature gains trample until end of turn. I might have said each at the beginning. Is target. Is this card good? Well, don't we... right now, I think we have a +3/+2 card. But that doesn't give trample. This does give trample to non-humans. I don't think it's good enough. That's an angel. 10th District is a human, though, so I don't think this will see play. Dreadhorde Arcanist isn't. But 10th District Legionnaire is like kind of like the backbone of that deck. Say what you want about Feather, but 10th District is fucking dope. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this card's gonna see play, but it might. Sundering Stroke. This card's fucking hilarious. Also, you can just cast it off of the... shit. There you go. You can just cast it off of that. Oh, fuck. I lost myself. There we go. This art is gnarly as hell. Jesus. 7 mana. I think that's Rowan, by the way. I think. Sundering Stroke deals 7 damage, divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. If at least 7 red mana was spent to cast this spell. Instead, Sundering Stroke deals 7 damage to each of those permanents and/or players. So for 7, and one of the mana is not red. Just a single one. It's blue. It's colorless. It's green. No. Any one of those. You can only deal max of 7. Choose among these. Well, 7? All 7 was red. 7, 7, 7. Mono red Chandra, here I come. So that would be, okay, so bear with me. This would be a lot of mana. Repeated reverberation. This. I'm just saying it's cool. I'm just saying it's cool. That said, I doubt this is going to see play, except meme decks, which I will be playing. Hengewalker, 3 mana, 2/2, adamant. You have a 3 mana, 3/3. This is a great card, limited. Dwarf, Wind, and Fire. Let's see. This is Heat of Invention, I assume. I also think this is Portuguese. Solo. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea. This is during your turn, I think? And you haven't done something? I don't know. You may only cast spells during your turn, and you can't cast more than 2 spells each turn. No Poitos, Lancer. Oh, Lancer is... Okay. Okay, sure. You may only cast spells... You may only cast spells during your turn, and you can only... You can't cast more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the amount of lands you control without paying their mana costs. I don't think this card's good. This is a Johnny card. I have no idea how to evaluate this. If you have any ideas of how to make this deck, how to make this card work, let me know, and I'm going to make that deck. And last but not least today, Clockwork Servant. He looks like bread, and it makes me uncomfortable. 3 mana for a 2/3 adamant. You draw a card. Good card limited. That's about it. It's very late. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd love me some like, comments, and subscribes, as I completely lose my mind waiting for Throne of Eldraine, because there are so many decks that I want to play, and I don't want to keep dealing with these fucking boring-ass decks. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I do want to make that Grumgully deck, though. Oh, excuse me. Grumgully! Would you like some mushrooms? I've officially lost my mind. Well, I'll be one. Blip, blip, blip.